10 years ago, Michael Fassbender was considered one of the most promising actors in Hollywood. He was regularly nominated for the Golden Globes and the Oscars. His royalties grew from film to film. But in mid-2010, the actor's career was derailed. Something went wrong. He received major roles in blockbusters, but these big projects at the box office failed. In general, today we would like to focus on the career of Michael Fassbender, who was once close to eternal glory in Hollywood, but now he is increasingly being talked about as a successful racer. Michael's career began on television. He appeared in dozens of different TV series. Viewers could spot him in the high-budget projects Steven Spielberg's Band of Brothers. His role there is not very noticeable, but against the background of other famous actors, he noticed. The part promoted his career, and he began to appear in some projects in supporting roles. At that time, Zack Snyder noticed Fassbender and invited him to audition for his project called 300. The actors had to be in the gym constantly for several months. The film is considered Michael Fassbender's debut on the big screen. Michael said that at the time, he lived in a small apartment and led a very modest lifestyle, and the trailer he was given at the time of filming was preferable to his apartment. The film was a hit and grossed $465 million at the worldwide box office. The enormous success sent Gerard Butler's career to stardom. Other actors are also noticed, and our hero, the day after the premiere, became famous. Michael began to be invited to all kinds of projects. He was not offered roles in significant projects in central parts, but it was supporting roles where the actor could show himself. A spectacular appearance in the frame in his underpants was the hallmark of Fassbender as an actor, about the same as chewing Brad Pitt. In 2008, Michael appeared in 3 films that were shown in cinemas. Fassbender only went to Blood Creek because of director Joel Schumacher. The project was initially very doubtful, but it was doomed to failure after some scandals. It grossed incredible $17,722 at the worldwide box office. Another project in 2008 was Eden Lake. The story is of a young couple who goes to the woods and meets with hooligans. At the box office, the picture did not perform very successful, but the audience generally liked the film. Well, the movie Hunger finished in 2008, which was marked by the critics, and the film received several European awards. The director Steve McQueen was especially praised, for whom this was his debut in the big cinema. They did not forget about Fassbender, who ate only berries and nuts for 10 weeks while preparing for the film and lost 26 pounds. In 2009, Fassbender was lucky enough to star in Inglourious Basterds. Many actors landing even minor roles with category A directors can expect to eventually become category A actors. After appearing in Bastards, Fassbender got closer to being called a superstar. Inglourious Basterds hit the jackpot at the box office. The $70 million film earned $321 million in theaters. Michael's career was clearly going uphill. His name was already known around the world. The year 2010 was to become a landmark for the actor. In wide distribution, were released 2 films at once. Above Centurion worked director Neil Marshall, who was considered a rising star at that time. So thought Fassbender, and so on set, he did not spare himself. The actor had no problem filming without outerwear in sub-zero temperatures and jumped in the water when he had to. The film was not expected to be a huge success, but counted on at least some positive results. But the picture failed unexpectedly at the United States box office and managed to collect less than $7 million in Europe. After that, Neil Marshall's career in big movies, in general, is over, and he successfully found himself working on many popular television series. And the second film in 2010 was Jonah Hex, which at the beginning of filming was predicted by many to be a huge success. But after the reshoots and postponements, $50 millionth project no one needed and gathered at the box office only $10 million. Surprisingly, the failure did not affect the careers of Fassbender and Brolin. But Megan's career was affected by this failure. In 2011, Michael became a real star in all the films in which the actor starred and received recognition from the public. Although at the box office, all was not so good. Jane Eyre, X-Men, First Class and Dangerous Method all performed mediocrely at the box office. But despite the financial performance, Michael was loved by audiences. And all 3 of these relative failures were not associated with Fassbender. The second collaboration between Steve McQueen and Fassbender, Shame, was released in the same year. The film was rated NC-17 at the United States box office, which immediately made it an impossible box office success for this picture. Nevertheless, with a budget of $6 million, the film was made at the world box office for a little more than $19 million. The film is remembered by many because Michael walks around completely naked for most of the movie. After the premiere, he was often asked why he was doing that. The actor usually refers journalists to his mother, who did not like the fact that only women appear naked in the frame. In 2012, Michael worked with Ridley Scott on the film Prometheus. For his role, he received a record fee of $4 million. The picture earned $403 million at the box office on a budget of $130 million. In 2013, Michael had another big hit. Another collaboration between the actor and Steve McQueen. This film was 12 Years a Slave box office movies with a budget of $20 million earned about $187 million. For this role, Fassbender received a nomination for a Golden Globe Award and Oscar. Following the big screens came The Counselor, the film with Ridley Scott in the director's chair and a cast that could not fail at the box office. But nevertheless, the box office was relatively modest, although the film earned just over $70 million. In 2014, Fassbender's most successful film, X-Men: Days of Future Past, was released. The X-Men were a breakthrough for the franchise, breaking all records and grossing $746 million. Wolverine's return to the main cast is thought to have worked, but all the other cast members have also praised the old-fashioned way. And for Michael, it was an impressive step forward that may have hurt him. He started signing up for significant roles in big-budget films. Promotional campaigns were implemented based on the fact that Michael was now the centerpiece of the project. So in 2015, Danny Boyle decided to turn Fassbender into Steve Jobs. As it turned out later, viewers were not interested in autobiographies, and studio bosses thought that movies about Steve Jobs were what the public needed. But both Jobs films failed to impress audiences. And if the movie with Ashton Kutcher released in 2013 could still earn money, the project with Fassbender in the title role failed at the box office. In 2016, Michael had already taken up the cause in earnest and decided to storm Hollywood Olympus in the style of Michael Madsen and starred in 5 films at once. 3 of the 5 films failed at the box office, and 2 were a total in terms of box office receipts and audience and critical acclaim. X-Men: Apocalypse was worse at the box office than its predecessor, and Fassbender's career would not have been affected by it, but the failure of Assassin's Creed blew him very hard. The actor was actively involved in the process of making changes to the plot, so he wanted to make the movie more suitable for an adult audience and should bring more money. But the studio intervened and immediately postponed the picture's release for a year. It is unknown what was changed and what was filmed extra, but by the looks of it, it did not help the film very much. The $125 million film grossed only $240 million at the box office. All of the sequels that were announced in advance went into the trash. 2017 was another challenging year for the actor. The thriller The Snowman was considered an up-and-coming project, and even Martin Scorsese was supposed to sit in the director's chair. But when the famous director refused the project, the budget was reduced from $60 million to $35 million. That's just the script of the project that remained the same, which was significantly influenced by the seeds of the picture. Director Thomas Alfredson later complained that there was not enough money and some scenes they could not shoot, and changed the script constantly during filming, which naturally affected the quality of the film. The film took only $43 million, and after a losing streak, Michael decided to take a break and leave the cinema for a time. He needed a break. While resting, he decided to change his field of work and became a professional racing driver, thus fulfilling his childhood dream. It wasn't until 2019 that he briefly took a break for Dark Phoenix because of a long-signed contract. The picture failed completely at the box office, but the studio was again blamed. Michael is not the worst performer on the track and somehow managed to take second place in the European Le Mans. He is about to return to the movies with several projects. In one of them, called Kung Fury, he fights against Adolf Hitler along with Arnold. He could still come back and even try to restart his career, which is what he's doing now. On the family front, he seems to be doing pretty well. And if he can come back and reach for the stars, it would be a really unique situation. He's been away from the movies for a few years, and not many people have been able to come back in triumph.